So I'm going to start to record and then I'm going to start to share. So we'll come over and we'll get started here. Very good. Okay, now I think we're ready to go. So again, thank you so much for being here tonight and spending some time with me. I really appreciate it. And so I'm going to share with you a webinar, The Path to Optimal Health and Happiness, the SP way, the Shaping Perspectives way. So it's about the way that here at Shaping Perspectives, we look at health. It's different than the way society looks at health. Over the course of the past 50 years or so, society has looked at health in lots of different ways. There is a thin ideal out there where people would think that health and weight are synonymous. So if you were in a smaller body, it meant you were healthier. If you were in a larger body, it meant you were unhealthy. And what we're going to do is kind of bust that apart a little bit. And health and happiness are the two biggest things that my clients will ask me. That's what they want. They want better health. They want more happiness. So that's why I've titled this, and we're going to talk about kind of this all-encompassing way to find and to live with better health and more happiness. And to be upfront at the end, I will be sharing an offer with you that you can take a listen to and hear if it's something that might work for you. And if not, that's okay too, but I want to be upfront and let you know that. But in the meantime, I'm going to share some great information with you, and I hope that you'll leave with a different perspective on the way that you look at health and happiness and yourself. So thank you for being here. So let's jump right in and get started, okay? This is for you if you want to feel healthy in your body. If you're not feeling the healthiest you that you know you could feel. And let's look at some different ways that you can feel healthier in your body, in the body that you have today. Or you want an alternative to dieting as we're coming into the new year, 2020 resolutions. That's what's happening. One of the top resolutions for many women especially is to lose weight or to be healthier, to get healthier. So those are two of the biggest resolutions. And so if you've dieted in the past, I'm going to share a little bit of information around that, why it doesn't work, why it's not sustainable, and if you're looking for an alternative to dieting. So you're in the right place. Also, if you're not doing things or you're isolating due to how you feel in your body, you're not going to a party, you're not going to the family gathering, you're shying away from activities due to how you feel about yourself, or if you're just plain old tired, feeling stuck or overwhelmed at where you are right now. So really thinking about where you are and what you're looking for as you move into the new year. And we're going to talk about some different ways to feel healthier and be happier. So in the next 30 to 40 minutes, I'm just going to try to share a bunch of information, and you're going to be learning 5 steps to help increase health and happiness. That's what it's all about here today. We're also going to talk about how to heal yourself and be more compassionate with yourself using some self-care strategies and opening the door and talking about self-care in a few different ways as opposed to just what kind of has been talked about as self-care, getting a manicure or a pedicure or taking a ride to the beach or something like that. We're going to open that up a little bit and talk about lots of different ways that we can look at self-care and how that can actually promote better health due to less stress and also increase happiness. And then discover some ways to increase self and body acceptance through some simple daily habits. So that's what we're going to be talking about as we move through the next 30 or 40 minutes. So I have a question for you. Are you cruel to yourself or to your body? There is a study out, a research study, that 97% of women talk cruelly to themselves. And we sometimes will say, if we talked to our friends the way we talk to ourselves, we wouldn't have any friends. So stepping into that question, are you talking poorly about yourself? Do you have an inner mean girl, an inner critic that puts you down and tears you apart, and possibly around your body, or your actions? When it comes to body and body image and how we feel in our bodies, it's no wonder where we have disordered thinking, because the desire to be thin, and this comes from everything here is researched and studied. The greatest growth is between 5 and 8. So that means kindergarten to third graders are coming home worried about what they look like. And there's already the thin ideal that is being established. Um, if you were to look at characteristics of what people think of when they see a thin person or a person in a smaller body, I use different types of language, a person in a smaller body, they're happy, they're healthy, they're successful, um, they're more popular, right? There's these biases around somebody in a smaller body, and the same thing happens with when you see somebody in a larger body. There's characteristics that are their labels that are placed on them as well. And we have this ingrained at 5 years old, starting, that smaller is better. So it's no wonder when we come to the end of a year, resolutions are about, how can I change my body? How can I make my body smaller? And the other thing, girls who diet as teenagers are 3 times more likely to be overweight. And we'll talk about the reasons why that is. But every single one, I will say, every single one of my clients and the people that I've worked with over the course of the past 3 years has been on a diet between the age of 10 and 16. And they're still continuing to struggle this weight struggle. And the number one wish for girls, 11 to 17, doesn't surprise you, right? After what we saw, the desire to be thin starts early and then it continues on. And so, with the fact that we have these stats up against us, what's the solution? What's the answer? What do we do? And the answer has been, in the past, dieting and restriction. And we know now, and it's out there a lot more now than it was even 5 or 6 years ago, that 95% of diets fail. And we understand that diets fail because for many of us, we've been on numerous diets. They may have worked for the short term, but they have not worked for the long term. They haven't been sustainable. So we're talking about something that's different. It's not a restricted eating plan. And if we talk about dieting, a little bit about why they fail, because I think the science is helpful. If you have worked with me, you know some of this information, but it is always good to have it kind of reinforced. Come back to it every once in a while, because I'll tell you, the science doesn't lie. When we go on a restricted eating plan and we're not consuming as much energy as our body requires, our metabolism slows down. So our basal metabolic rate, the amount of energy that our body uses on a daily basis, lowers. It's protecting, it's saving your calories, it's saving your fat to keep you alive. The metabolism slows down. And then we have 3 different hormones that work against us if you're on a diet. And I use the term we and us a lot because this is a lot of my history, as you'll see. So the hormones that kick in when we're in restricted mode, one is ghrelin. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. So when the hunger hormone kicks up, the body gets hungrier. So basically the body is just saying, we need more food. I'm hungry, please feed me. The one that opposes that is leptin. That's the fullness hormone. That drops, which means when you do eat, the body isn't registering that you're full, asking you to eat more. And then the third hormone is cortisol. Cortisol increases up. So we kick up the cortisol, which is our fight, flight, freeze, stress hormone, which signals the body to actually hold on to body fat to protect you. So we have all of these things working against us when we switch on, use that term, switch on a diet. So when the diet gets switched off or we come off the diet, the metabolism is low, we're still hungrier, we're not being satisfied with fullness, and our body is holding on to weight. So it's no wonder that there's a rebound and the weight gets gained back 66%, even more weight comes back in. So this is just an important thing to remember, the science. When a thought comes in, oh, maybe that one, like I think about it as the golden ticket, maybe that one will work, maybe that one will work. Always coming back to the science, 95% do not work. So my promise to you during this period of time, and we go through our 5 steps, is to widen the lens and shift your focus and change your perspective, looking at all of this differently, right? So looking at food differently, looking at eating differently, looking at your body differently, looking at exercise differently, looking at how you talk to yourself differently, and how you care about yourself. So we're going to really start to shift the way you look at things, okay? So let me share a little bit about me to you. As many of you know, I am an intuitive eating coach right now. I love Evelyn Triboli's work, and Christy Harrison just put out a new book called Anti-Diet. It is working through intuitive eating, a great new resource for people. So I am a certified intuitive eating coach. 5 years ago, I went back to school and got my eating disorder specialist certification through Plymouth State University. I've spent 30 years in the fitness industry. We'll talk about that, a little bit of destructive in the fitness industry. And then I'm a self-taught trainer and a body image and lifestyle coach. So this is kind of me on a professional level. This is what I do. 30 years was spent in the fitness field until I came to a crossroads in my life where the fitness was more destructive than it was helpful. And I flipped a corner and I started to research because I was tired of living trying to fit the thin ideal and being surrounded by diet culture and being absorbed in diet culture and exercise culture too, for that matter. And I was tired and broken. And that's when I flipped and did the other side of my education, which is the intuitive eating and the eating disorder work, the body image work, and the lifestyle work. So this is kind of the front side, or what you see today. But really, for me, where I've been, and many of you have heard this story, so bear with me a little bit for those of you who don't know my story. It started on my first diet at 11 due to, being called names when I was a kid, being told by the doctor that the doctor told my mom that they should watch what I ate, not fitting into the clothes, all the kind of normal things that young 5th, 6th, 7th graders go through. And so I went on a diet because I didn't fit in. And my first diet landed me in the hospital with anorexia nervosa and spent the next 3 years battling with that. I came out of that, but spent my life in this roller coaster of up and down, yo-yo dieting, always looking for the next diet, consumed, kind of held prisoner by thoughts of my body, thoughts of weight, thoughts of food, thoughts of eating, what I did eat, what I didn't eat, how much did I eat, I've got to exercise, how much do I have to exercise? And that's where exercise became my way of controlling my weight. And it was something that was called, for many years, suffering from exercise bulimia. So I would eat and then try to burn off It was all a balances, checks and balances game. So for 40 years, I spent on this roller coaster until I didn't want to do it anymore. And the breaking point for me was lying in the hospital bed, ready to get my knee was messed up pretty bad, and I was actually going to get my leg broken so that I could keep pounding on it and keep making sure I could keep exercising. And when they couldn't do that because my knee was too bad, I just remember lying there going, there's got to be a better way. I can't keep doing this. And so that's when I went in and started to do my own work, my own healing around myself, around my body, around food and eating and exercise. And so that's why I'm so passionate about this work and what I'm doing. So I want you to take just a moment to visualize. This is a beautiful screen. So you can just kind of soften your eyes and look into the screen, or you can close your eyes and just take a moment. And this is an exercise I do a lot with my clients to just take the focus off of sometimes what we think is so important. So as you close your eyes, I want you to think about, say, two people that you really care about. They can be friends, they can be family, they can be anybody. But just take a moment and think about two people that you really like to be around, you like to hang out with, you want, you just that you really like. And as you think about them, what is it about them that you like? Why do you like to hang around them? What qualities, what traits come up? What is it about them? And you may come up with 3 or 4 different words around and traits or qualities. And let me ask you this question. Does it have anything to do with the size of their body? 99% of the time, it's no. Because who we are is so much more than the size of our body. And yet, in today's society, everything is placed there. So coming back to this and remembering that as our first shift of perspective, that you are so much more than the size of your body. Because if you flip this exercise to yourself and think about two people that really care about you, like to be around you, want to hang around you, why is it that they want to be with you? What are your traits and qualities that they like, that they want to be around? And it has nothing to do with the size of their body, the size of your body. It's not about the weight. It's different. It's about the weight piece, the thing that many women focus on is just the tip of the iceberg. It's so much more than that. And that's where we're diving in today. So we're going to talk about 5 different steps to move you to better health and happiness. I call it the SPWA, the Shaping Perspectives Way. The first step, eating intuitively and supportively without judgment. So let me talk a little bit about what that means. To eat intuitively is to start to get in touch, back in touch with the way that you feel when it comes to food and eating, when it comes to fueling your body, getting back in touch with your own hunger. What does it feel like to be hungry? What does it feel like to be full? And starting to get in tune with that. It gets lost really early in life. It gets lost when you're 2 or 3 years old and you ask for a snack at 5 o'clock and mom or dad says, no, wait for dinner. which means there's a disruption in your hunger signal and actually eating. And then you sit down to dinner at 6 o'clock and you eat half your meal and you're full, your body's full. And then mom or dad says, finish your plate. So there's a disconnect with fullness. So for many of us, knowing what hunger and fullness even feel like has to be relearned. So we're getting back in touch with hunger, getting back in touch with fullness. And as we do that, we're making peace with food. So eating intuitively means releasing, I call it evening the playing field, releasing the good and the bad to foods. Releasing the, if I eat this good food, then I'm good, because that's a subconscious thought. Or if I eat this food, I'm this bad food, I'm bad, subconscious thought, even if it's not a conscious thought. So leveling the playing field and getting rid of the goods and the bads and making peace with food so that all food is just food and it's fuel for our body. When we pull foods out for the outcome of weight loss, that's a diet. Sometimes we pull foods out because they don't make us feel good, and that's a choice. So we're getting back in touch with how food feels in our body, right? How does it feel in my body? How does, um, do I have a stomach ache? Am I gassy? Do I have loads of energy? Do I feel great? Right? How do foods actually impact the body? So when it comes to eating intuitively, we're looking at getting back in touch with the hunger and fullness, leveling out the playing field of foods. There is something called, people will say, "But I won't be able to stop eating." Um, there's been studies done on habituation of foods. There was a study of college kids they had 30 days of free pizza. First like week, they're all excited for free pizza. By the end of 30 days, and none of them wanted any pizza. And they've done that with chocolate. So they've done it with a series of different foods that if it's around and available and there's no shame and judgment around it, it just becomes another food. And then we also get really connected with how it makes us feel. So that's kind of when we talk about eating supportively and without judgment, those are some of the things we're talking about. Also, we're talking about rejecting the diet mentality and saying, we know that they don't work. We understand why they don't work now. And so that's not an option. Let's start to get in touch with the body and let the body start to let not only you trust the body, let the body start to trust you too. So that's step one, is to start feeding and fueling your body intuitively and supportively without shame and without judgment. When the shame and the judgment kicks in, that's when we're still judging foods. We're still thinking of certain foods as good and certain foods as bad. And until we can level the playing field and start to be in touch with the body, that's what's really going to help us become healthier and have our body supported by fueling our body with what our body needs. So this is the first step in this process. And so I want to share with you, I have a couple of client ahas, which I think are kind of fun to read. One of the clients I had a couple of years ago, when we really leveled out the playing field, she just stopped being obsessed with sweets. She was hiding, spending energy planning, when am I going to get it? Where am I going to eat it? In secret, and feeling bad. And it just dissipated over time, right? It dissipated and she had so much more energy, and every once in a while would have sweets, but it wasn't a big deal anymore. So that's step one. Two, disconnecting, and this was a big one for me, disconnecting exercise from weight loss and moving towards joyful movement. So what happens with exercise is it's been linked to burning calories, losing weight, changing shape of body, trying to fit into thin ideal, have to, should do, need to, all of those, that terminology when it came to exercise. And so we're disconnecting it from any of that. And we're kind of opening the perspective to look at exercise as movement and play. So when I utilize the term, I pulled the term exercise out of my vocabulary for a long time and just said, let's just move, let's just play. It's disconnecting from the shoulds, the have tos, the want tos, the need tos. It's disconnecting from, I have to do at least 30 minutes. I have to have my heart rate at such and such. I have to burn X number of calories. We're disconnecting from all of that. And we're moving into, what does the body want to do? What feels good on my body as it is today? What kind of joyful movement can I find? And stepping outside of the box of your normal, gym or exercise class. What kind of movement does your body enjoy? Is it walking on the beach? Is it dancing in your bedroom, right? Is it playing pickleball? Is it taking a yoga class? It could be anything. Is it swimming? Playing in a pool? It could be anything that moves your body. So we're disconnecting exercise from the other pieces. If we find something we enjoy, we will want to do it. When there's a want to do it, it becomes sustainable because we want to. I like moving my body if I get to do it this way. And disconnecting from that time frame. Oh, I don't have 30 minutes, so it's not worth it. Yes, 5 minutes is worth it. And there's lots of research now that you can do a couple of segments of 5 minutes and it's equal to a lump sum, right? So thinking about movement differently, adding little bits of movement through your day, and becoming a person that just is an active person or an intentional mover. And so one of my favorite, and I don't know if Jennifer's here, one of my favorite client ahas is this one. Just shifting the way Jennifer started to think about her daily activity. She was frustrated because she wasn't getting to the gym and she wasn't doing the exercise that she thought she needed to do. But once we started to look at her day, she was moving from the day she got up to when she went to bed. And so we became, she became intentional about her day, intentional about her movement, naming her movement, and realized, wow, I'm moving a lot. And it took a ton of the judgment and the criticism and the shame away from the fact that she wasn't getting to the gym. So when we think about New Year's resolutions and health, it's this, diet, exercise link. And something we know now is that calories in, calories out is not the equation. We used to think that that was the equation, right? For any kind of changes in the body. If you wanted to lose weight, it just got to eat less, exercise more. We know that that's not right anymore. So these two pieces of this puzzle, the intuitive eating and the joyful movement, are just two legs of the stool. We need some more support here. So we're going to move into the next part of support. And the next part of support is one of the biggest pieces. It's shifting the way we talk to ourselves. In the beginning, I talked about 97% of women talk poorly to themselves on a daily basis over lots of different things. Something I didn't share is that of whatever our thoughts are during a day, the next day, at least 80% of them repeat. And then the next day, 80% repeat. And the next day, 80% repeat. So if you think of how many years you've had specific patterns of beating yourself up around things. That's why shifting the way we think is so, and talk to ourselves is so difficult. And negative self talk is increasing cortisol, it increases stress. It's as if someone else, it's as if you are both the bully. This comes from Brene Brown, the bully and the bullied. So you're bullying yourself and you're being bullied. Both impact the body physiologically. Added stress. So we're shifting to use positive self talk and self compassion, which gets linked to your own self worth, self acceptance, and self appreciation. And one of the things to think about here is when we think that we've repeated the same words over and over and over and over and over again, we get these pathways in our brain, and they're much like this picture. So, what are the pathways that you have in your brain that you've developed for years? And what are the pathways in your brain that you've developed, the negative self talk that you've developed over years that is harming you, that is setting you up for destructive behaviors? Because our thoughts are linked to our feelings and our behaviors and our actions. So, if that's the case, how are our thoughts linked to our behaviors? And so, when we think about shifting the way we're talking to ourselves, we need to move into a space where we're erasing and replacing and rewiring the way we're talking to ourselves to create new paths. And if you think about stepping outside this path, it's not comfortable. But if we don't step out the path, you're going to stay on the path, which means the same thoughts and the same behaviors are going to stay until we shift the thoughts and the thinking behind it. There's so much research now on the neuroplasticity of the brain and the power of the brain, and how if we can shift the way we're thinking, we can shift the way we're acting, feeling. So if we think about linking to happiness, being kind and compassionate to self has a huge link to your own amount of happiness. If you're thinking positively, if you're compassionate to yourself, if something goes wrong, instead of beating yourself up, we can find and will find more happiness in our lives as we shift our pathways. And it's not just how you talk to yourself, it's how you talk to yourself about others as well, or talk to others about yourself. I mean, if you go to any coffee shop today and you sit down, you'll hear conversations, and you hear one person beating themselves up and then everybody else joining in. Like it's a status symbol of some sort, that everybody, oh, like I can beat myself up and you can beat yourself up. But what happens is the destructive self talk that you're doing in public actually impacts all the people around you. And isn't it time to change the conversation if we know that this is destructive, if we know it's increasing stress and anxiety and depression and worry? Why are we continuing to fuel other people to talk poorly about themselves as well? So it's your own self talk, and then also how you talk about yourself to others, and also how often you comment or compliment, especially when it comes to, what we're talking about tonight, other people's weight. Oh, you look great if you lost weight. We never know why a person gains or loses weight unless we ask them, because a weight loss can come from medication, from sickness, from depression, from surgery, from many things, as can weight gain. And so thinking about the way you approach other people. Oh, it's so great to see you. You look happy. I love your laugh. right? What other things can we say? I love the energy you bring into the room, but how often is it that the first words are complimenting about a weight loss or a talking behind the back of a weight gain? And so when it comes to self-talk, self-compassion, self-worth, it's not just you. It's how you walk in this world and how you act in this world and what you talk about to other people as well. So it's kind of becomes a bigger impact. And because of that, it kicks us into number 4. So hopefully you're hanging with me here. We've got intuitive eating, trusting the body, moving joyfully to have some fun while we move our body, starting to be compassionate and kind to ourselves. And now we're going to start to look at our bodies differently. It's so easy to get caught up in what our bodies can't do. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do this, which decreases our self esteem and self worth. Here we're talking about what can your body do? Let's take the focus off of what the body can't do, broaden the lens, open that up. What can it do? Look at all the things that it can do, right? And I love this little post. It can do all these wonderful things. And if we think about that, it makes, like for me, it just makes me smile, right? So, and it kicks in endorphins because my body can do all of these great things. I can also turn over here and look over here and look at the things that it can't do if I choose to. My choice. I'm going to choose to look at what it can do. And a part of this, and some of you have heard this, the good gift, bad gift. Um, Here we've just gone through Hanukkah and Christmas time. Did you get a good gift? If you got a good gift, what happens with it? You use it, you wear it, you take care of it. If you value something, you take care of it. If you get a bad gift, goes in the bottom of the closet, gets regifted, it's taken to Goodwill, gets thrown in the trash. If you don't value something, you don't take care of it. It's kind of a subconscious space that we live in. So if I'm always talking negatively about myself and I don't like myself, am I going to treat myself with kindness? Am I going to fuel myself with food that feels good? Am I going to actually get out and move my body and have joy? Mm-mm. So it's a kind of a snowball effect. So starting to look at what you appreciate about your body begins this um, link to, or kind of a spiral link into feeling good about your body, treating your body with kindness, fueling your body so it feels good, right? So really thinking about your body as a good gift. Another client, confidence and acceptance of self has changed completely. So this is a mean girl, the notice of a mean girl, the awareness of a mean girl, always beating her up about her body. And I love, we talk about driving the bus, right? So she just decided that this mean girl that's always beating her up and telling her she's this and that and this when it comes to her body, no longer allowed to drive the bus because she's starting to think about what her body can do, what she likes about her body, not what she hates about her body. And number 5, so the little culmination here, we're eating, moving, right, in a different way. We're talking to ourselves and thinking about our bodies differently. And now we're going to talk a little bit about engaging self-care to reduce stress. And there's 2 pieces of the self-care puzzle. One is getting the basics. We know the story, the filling the cup. We know the story about putting your oxygen mask on first before you help somebody else. When you find yourself stressed out, overwhelmed, anxious, depressed, anything like that, The first place to look is, are you getting the basics? Are you fueling your body? Are you moving your body? Are you hydrating your body? Are you sleeping? Are you getting outside for oxygen? Are you connecting with other people? We're connecting beings. That's who we are. We like to connect. Are you laughing? I think of laughing kind of, I put it over there in the basics because I think it's essential. But are you getting the basics? Are you filling your cup? Are you taking care of you? I think in today's society, there's a tendency to always do for everybody else, and that self-care is selfish. But what we really know is that taking care of yourself actually helps everybody around you. Because if I'm running on empty, how good am I if my daughter calls me with a problem and I'm on empty? Not as good as I could be. I could be much, if I'm taking care of myself, I can have much more energy, much more patience, much more care for a conversation that might be difficult, right? And then the other side of self-care are things that feel good. Talk about increasing in happiness, doing things you love, stepping out to do the things that you really enjoy, or experimenting, trying things on. What do you like? I think for many of my clients, when I ask them what do they love or what do they like to do, sometimes there's this blank stare, like I don't know. And it takes experimentation. It takes trying things on. It takes stepping outside the box and outside your comfort zone sometimes, and finding things that you like to do. And it doesn't have to be a whole afternoon. It can be 10 minutes on the floor playing with your dog, or taking 10 minutes to watch a funny video, or throw on a song and sing and dance for 5 minutes. It can be any of those things. It can be connecting with a friend for a cup of coffee, for an hour. So yes, it can be longer, but it also can be done in 5, 10, 15-minute increments, taking care of you. And I want to talk about two essential links of self-care because of the research. One is sleep. If you're not getting enough sleep, the interesting piece of that is that the body physiologically responds as if you were on a diet in restriction. Increases in ghrelin, decreases in leptin, increase in cortisol, right? How can making sleep one of your big rocks? I call, what are the big rocks? What are the things that really can make a big impact in how you live your days and how you feel in your body and in your life? Sleep is one of those things. Creating a sleep routine or making sure you're getting enough sleep because of how it's tied to your health and your physiological health. And then the second one is implementing a gratitude practice, because we know from the research that having a gratitude practice decreases stress, anxiety, and worry. And it shifts the focus from fear or anger or frustration or anxiety or worry, flips it over to a positive, right? What might be a gratitude practice? Writing down 3 things you're grateful for every morning, or saying 3 things you're grateful for every night. I do a morning coffee. When I'm having my morning coffee, I talk about what am I grateful for. It could be when you're driving to work, what are you grateful for? It could be anything that you do normally in your day. Linking a gratitude practice to that can really help with your physiological health again, as well as your happiness level. Taking care of you creates a ripple effect to all those around you. Another client, I could never imagine how taking care of myself could actually improve my relationship with my kids. And if you think about if your cup is full, how much more patience you have, how much more ability you have to pause and respond rather than react. So we've covered 5 different key components to increase your physiological health and your psychological health and your emotional health, and help with increasing the amount of joy pockets, I call them, the amount of happiness that you can have in your day, in your life. So just sit back for a second and imagine, right? Imagine living your life where food's just food, right? And you're honoring your hunger and you're respecting your fullness and you're just eating and it's not on your mind 24/7. It's just, oh, I'm hungry, time to eat. What do I want? What am I going to have today? Or where you're feeling good in your body and you're doing the things that you want to do and you're trusting your body. Oh, I'm hungry, time to eat. Oh, I'm full. I don't want any more. Thanks, I'm done. And your body is relying on you too. It's trusting you. It's like, oh, she's going to feed us. We're okay. She's not going to overwork us. She's not going to yell at us today, right? Works both ways. A world where you enjoy moving because it feels good. You want to move your body and you engage in activities you love, whatever they might be. And there's more joy and happiness sprinkled throughout your days. And you're kind and compassionate to yourself. So this is taking and looking at these steps separately. They're done separately. How do we bring them all together? Because that's the magic when we're utilizing all of them, and it's comprehensive, and we're pulling them all into our lives. We're taking care of ourselves. We're kind to ourselves. We're appreciating who we are in our bodies, fueling and moving this body right now, right here. And that definition, that good old definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and again, expecting different results, which is what I did over and over and over again for 40 years, trying to do the same thing, expecting something different and not being happy with any of it. So I want to introduce, I'm going to share with you now something that I put together. And this I'm really proud of, and I'm very excited for this coming year. This is unlike anything else because when I did my own healing journey, I did a little of this, I did a little of that, I did a little of this. I took this class, I took that class, I went here, I did some, I got some coaching here. So I was doing all these things and it was all piecemeal, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. And what I have done is I pulled them all together into a 1 year, full 1 year, because you know what we're up against? 30, 20, 30, 40 years of the same behaviors, the same thoughts, the same actions. And so this is a 1 year, it's a commitment, a 1 year program to dive in and heal the body, heal our relationship with food, heal our relationship with ourselves, and start to shift the way we think and feel. And so without all of the things that I did for myself, I wouldn't be here now. And I wouldn't have been able to kind of figure out what works and what doesn't. Everything is based on science. I'm going to share this with you, give you an idea of how I've utilized all the things that have helped me on my journey and put them together into this one program. And if nothing else, it gives you ideas of what kind of support can really help as you move through your own healing journey and your own journey to better health and more happiness. So it includes, so this 1 year program includes virtual group coaching. We know the benefits of a group, right? You're able to support each other, connect with each other, validate each other, that kind of connection. So they're virtual group coaching sessions. It looks kind of like this. It's like I always think about the Brady Bunch, so you get to see everybody and you have conversations every 2 weeks. So for the whole year, every 2 weeks, we have a group meeting. Within the group meeting, we're sharing successes and struggles, and we're also implementing and talking about a habit or a focus shift that we're going to work on for the next 2 weeks. So there's something that we're focusing in on as well as brainstorming around how that might work for everybody. So that's one. It also includes virtual weekly office hours for support, direct support, so that when you have something that's going on, that you can come in and we can talk about it. So not only do you have the group, you have the weekly support that way. The Mindset Mastery Vault is a culmination of all the different habits and focuses that we're going to be doing through the 26 weeks, I think it is, right? So for our every other week, 26 weeks. So it will have they'll have videos and audios that will be of all the different focuses that we've been doing within the groups. So that if there's a week that you're like, I have my gratitude practice down pretty good. I'm going to keep going with that. But you know what? When we were doing that emotional eating thing, that was having a little bit of hard time. Let me go back to that. Let me see if I can tap into that and work on that this for the next couple of weeks, because this is good for me. So that's always going to be there, 24/7 access. You can always go back to any of the habits anyway. It also includes the Diet Free membership on Facebook. So this is a place where there's weekly support. The focus will be put in there. Resources will be put in there, recipes and more. And it's a place, if you need additional support from your group members, this is where you can come. It's your own community of like-minded people who have had the same struggles, have walked the same walk that you have, and understand where you're at. So it gives you some added support. And then it also includes a series of different classes and courses that I have put together over the course of the past 3 years that it's just an underlying added support system for if you want to dive a little deeper into something, or if we're talking about a particular focus, we can come over there and we have some more resources over there to go a little bit deeper if we want to. That's fully available 24/7 as well. And then a self-talk plus, this is our positive self-talk, supportive audios that you have a membership to this as well. So to help start rewiring the brain so it gets used to some good, some language. I call it flooding the brain with language that it might not be used to, because we're not used to talking kindly to ourselves. So here's just a couple more little ahas, and just understanding that there's an opportunity here to learn and grow and heal on your journey, and really starting to think about how you can nourish yourself, how you can be kind and non-judgmental to yourself, and walk in a way that's different than the way you've been walking for the past 20 or 30 years. So where will you be and how will you feel on December 30th, today, 2020? There's my beach, the 2020. It's rolling in a couple of days. So let me share the investment of this program. It is a full year. It has everything you need. The benefits of the community, support, connection, validation, the mindset mastery, which is acceptance, self-compassion, self-confidence, and the coaching, guidance, accountability, tips and tools in a year of space and time to make the shifts in your perspective, so that when life hits, that's when it usually all goes to pot. You're doing great for a while, and then life hits, something happens, and all of a sudden old behaviors, old thoughts are back at us. this is a space where when life hits, you're supported and you're connected and you have the tips and tools, and then you can use them. You learn to use them. I think that's what's so great about the year is you get to learn to use them. It's one thing to have tips and tools. It's another thing to use them. So for the year, it's you can save $100 by joining before January 2nd. That's Thursday by midnight. 12 payments of $449, or if you want to do the pay in full option, it's $5,000, and that's for the full year, 12 months from now until December 31st of next year. And is this the year to step into yourself, right? And find optimal health and happiness. So I want to say thank you. And I'm going to open this up for some questions. So I want to stop the share and come back to you and say thank you very much for, I went a little long, I apologize. Hopefully, Rachel, you got audio back, and I hope you all got audio and were able to hear. Seems like you're still here, so hopefully that's a good sign. Is there does anyone have any questions? If you didn't hear at the beginning, down at the bottom, the Q&A, you can ask a question there. I think there's one. Yes, I did. Okay, good. Thanks, Rachel. Appreciate that. Glad the audio came back to you. I know it's funny that I have to use my earphones to get audio in, but that's okay. So thank you for being here. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to come in. From this conversation tonight, I hope you can take a look at the way that you're living your life right now and the way that you're moving into 2020. And you were able to find some nugget within this that you said, that's something that can help me improve my physiological health, or it can help me be happier in the way I live. Can you explain the office hours? Sure. It is, the office hours are they're 2 times during the week, and you click in, they're 20-minute little sessions. So you come in and we talk a little bit. They're kind of a first come, first serve space, but there's enough time for people to get at least once a month in there, possibly even twice. But that's how those work. So hopefully that you understand that. There's a link, so you just click a link and you schedule it right in. There's 2 different, one's during the day and one's closer to evening for office hours. And that, which brought up a good question. The virtual sessions, the group sessions, are on Wednesdays at noon, every other Wednesday at noon starting next Wednesday. And they are always recorded, and they're loaded up in a vault too, so that if you miss them, they're there. So you have the recordings in one section, and then you also will have the focus. So if you don't want to go through the whole session, like the whole group coaching session, you can go directly to the focus of that week, and you have that there. So, which makes it easier for if you're shorter on time. And all of the different focuses, I'll show you this. That's our little monthly calendar. It's all set to go. So all of our focuses, all of our habits shifting, and it's hitting what we talked about today. It's hitting the 5 different steps that we talked about today. One more question. Awesome. Thanks for asking, Abby. All right. Any other questions? Oh, one more. Thank you. I hope you learned something. Meg, you raised your hand. Can you, I don't have raise hand capability for some reason. So if you could ask the question, type in the question, that would be fabulous. I'd greatly appreciate that. Or if you want to connect with me. Oh, raise, okay. All right. Thanks, Meg. So, as you move forward, I hope you jump all in with rejecting the diet mentality and the thin ideal. Start fueling your body, trusting your body, listening to its hunger and fullness, listening to what it feels good eating, tasting your food, enjoying your food, getting out and finding activities that you love to do, talking kindly and compassionately to yourself, appreciating what your body does right here, right now, today, and then taking care of yourself, practicing gratitude, getting sleep, finding joy. Grab those joy pockets and find some happiness. Okay. I got some thank yous. Okay. Great. Thank you all so much for spending time here with me today. I greatly appreciate it. And if you have any questions that you want to send along, please feel free. You can email me, Annie at shapingperspectives.com. Many of you have my other email. You can email AnniePoirier11 at Gmail, and you can find me on Facebook. If you're not already a member of the Diet Free Sisterhood, request to join on Facebook. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks very much. Stop record.